Ernest Hemingway's genuine literary masterpiece is The Old Man and the Sea. Though it's a basic narrative, it has great significance and life lessons. This book centers on aging Cuban fisherman Santiago. Santiago has not caught one fish during 84 days. The residents, especially the younger fishermen, consider him as unfortunate. Still, Santiago doesn't let optimism fade. He is resolved to turn his circumstances around and establish his value. He leaves one morning alone into the Gulf Stream's deep waters. He seeks a large catch to rebuild his pride. His line contracts after hours of waiting. He hooked a really big marlin. The real heart of the narrative starts here. 3 tough days pass in the fight between Santiago and the fish. Pulling and hanging onto the fish with all his might, the elderly man struggles. Strong and dragging his boat great distances across the sea is the marlin. It is an emotional and psychological as well as a bodily fight. Santiago talks to the fish and himself throughout this conflict. Appreciating its strength and beauty, he appreciates the marlin. The reason the narrative is so unique in this respect. Santiago sees the marlin as not an enemy. He sees it as a deserving opponent, one that will define him. Hemingway writes simply but with great depth. The narrative looks at ideas of the human spirit, pride, and will. Though he is elderly, Santiago resists letting age define him. Though weak physically, his spirit is strong. The Old Man and the Sea appeals to so many readers for this, among other reasons. It helps us to realize that we can fight regardless of our age or tiredness. We can still be excellent even in our worst of times. Santiago and the marlin have a really interesting relationship. It goes beyond simply a fisherman aiming to grab a fish. It represents the challenges every one of us must overcome in daily life. Everybody battles something that seems either too big or too challenging. Like Santiago, though, we have to keep battling. The fight is what builds us more powerfully. We cannot give up even if the chances seem against us. The narrative also looks at respect of the natural world. Santiago is not hateful of the marlin. Actually, he really enjoys it really thoroughly. He addresses it as his brother. Among the most lovely aspects of the narrative is this link between the fisherman and the fish. Deep respect and love for the natural world permeate even in the middle of the fight. Santiago muses over his life while he fights the marlin. He muses over the lad Manolin, who used to fish with him. Manolin stands for the younger generation, bursting with potential and hope. Santiago wants to impart to him what he understands about the sea. The lad looks after the elderly man even though he no longer fishes with Santiago. The relationship between Santiago and Manolin gives the narrative coziness. It clarifies the link between generations and the sharing of information. Santiago at last wins 3 days of struggle. The biggest fish he has ever seen is the marlin he catches. But his triumph is fleeting. Sharks start attacking the marlin as Santiago is returning to land. The blood in the river calls them. Sharks rip bits of the fish one by one. Best he can, Santiago battles them off. He makes use of every instrument at hand. A harpoon, a knife, even the rudder of the boat. Still, the sharks are ferocious. Almost none of the marlin remains by the time Santiago arrives at the coast. Its skeleton alone is still visible. This section of the narrative is tragic. Santiago battled fiercely, but ultimately most of his reward disappears. Still, the narrative is not about the material incentive. It's about the trip, the fight, and the old man's attitude. Though he lost the fish, Santiago has gained something far more valuable. He has shown himself still to have the will to battle. He has proved that he can persevere even under tremendous circumstances. Santiago's tenacity comes to be symbolized in the marlin's skeleton. The villagers are in wonder at the size of the skeleton. They understand that Santiago's trip was not useless. Manolin, the youngster, pledges fish with him once more when he goes back to Santiago. At the end of the narrative, one feels hope. Santiago lost the marlin, but he still carries spirit. He still has will to keep on battling. One can learn important life lessons from The Old Man and the Sea. It emphasizes the need of tenacity even in cases when the chances seem against us. It reminds us that the trip itself is usually more significant than the final point. The fight itself lends life purpose. Hemingway writes with such simplicity and force. He doesn't have to express his feelings with elaborate language. His clear language lets the reader relate to the narrative on a deeper level. In some form, we all know Santiago's battle. Everybody has surmounted obstacles that seem too great to do. Still, like Santiago, we keep moving ahead. We fight as that is our natural inclination. For this reason, The Old Man and the Sea has grown to be such a timeless classic. It addresses the heart of the human experience. It distills the core of what it is to fight, suffer, and survive. Long after you close the book, Santiago's path will linger with you. Readers of many backgrounds will find resonance in this narrative. Though the book is short, its influence is great. Hemingway is quite amazing in his ability to portray such strong feelings using such basic words. Timeless are the ideas of bravery, pride, and respect of environment. These are issues that will always be important regardless of the changes in the surroundings. The Old Man and the Sea is the ideal book if you search for one that will motivate you. This narrative will help you to appreciate the need of never giving up. It will serve to remind you that the fight has value regardless of how difficult it is. Santiago's path calls both optimism and tenacity. It demonstrates how honor and dignity still exist even after one is defeated. Though we might not always prevail in the conflicts we encounter, the effort counts most. Hemingway presents Santiago in a moving and inspirational manner. Each of us may identify to some degree with him. He stands for the might of the human soul. He demonstrates for us that we can still be outstanding regardless of our age or level of tiredness. The Old Man and the Sea tells a tale more than just one of a fisherman and a fish. This narrative tells about life itself. This narrative tells about the challenges we all encounter as well as the inner strength we discover to keep on. This book will inspire you to consider, grow to value the beauty of the human spirit. If you haven't yet read it, I really advise getting a copy. I appreciate you viewed this review. Should you enjoy it, kindly mark it with a thumbs up and remember to subscribe for more book reviews.